Hello Internet and welcome to another very special episode of BlenderNest. Today we'll have another art review. In this format, we take work submitted for review by members of the BlenderNest community and provide some thoughtful critique and constructive criticism, pointing out both strengths and room for improvement in the work. If you'd like to take part by having your art reviewed, please join the community on Discord. The server is filled with talent from across the world, participating in challenges, contests, and community conversations where we interview members of the Blender community every week and share resources and advice. The link is in the description of this video, and we would love to have you. With that housekeeping out of the way, take it away, Curtis.
Okay, so first of all here we have a piece from Proud Imagination 94. We got a bunch of coffee cups here, nice logos, quite colorful. Are there any opinions about this piece that people might have?
I really like the composition, the lighting and everything. They went with the Starbucks style of cups, right? As I can see here. Yeah. I haven't been to Starbucks, but I would say like normally coffee cups, little translucent, which means I can see the level of coffee in it. I mean, that would add a really nice touch to this one, I would say, to see the level of coffee in this one.
All right, I like the kind of color scheme thing going on this as well. And I guess I kind of also like the patterns going on here. Like we have the alternating between the green and the black and stuff. I'm a little bit confused about the texture on the surface here. You can see it kind of goes in and out, but I don't think that's kind of maintained either on the rest of the cup or on the paper. So it seems to be just that one section. Still, I do quite like that kind of groove, corrugated as I guess maybe a way to describe it, but I like that. For the logo at the top here, I'm not too sure. It's a little bit hard to read, but I like how the color scheme's consistent. Wondering if maybe a bit of an extra white background might make it just a bit easier to read in front of the extra red as well.
Yeah, I'll reiterate. Playing off the logo itself, I think a different font, something maybe sans serif here would work, or less tall. But I mean, that's just the logo. I'm looking at the 3D stuff. I like the candy stripe rings going in, kind of leading your eye into the cup. And the first thing you see is that red heart, and then it kind of bounces around to the blue heart and the yellow heart. And the only thing I would say is, I like the corrugated look. I like the texture, the paper texture. Maybe get a little more waxiness in the cup itself, and break up the specular a bit, or the roughness a bit on the lids. I think that would be pretty cool. Other than that, I like it. I like the lighting. I think it's pretty cool. I also think too, maybe need a little more tessellation because I'm seeing some tessellation, so a little more subdivision in the heat shield.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. You can kind of see the edges going along. I wonder if it would be better, because we can see a little bit of like color imperfection on the surface here of the material, but if this kind of corrugated type surface was actually on the heat shield, like the kind of cardboardy wood instead, and all the way around, that might make a bit more sense.
Generally, the cardboard, those would be corrugated, and the cup itself probably wouldn't be too corrugated. They're pretty smooth and waxy. They're coated with this kind of wax. I don't know what it is. It's wax, I guess. But yeah. You can tell I drink too much coffee.
A nice fine little detail though. I like the kind of different colored bits at the top here, but you don't really notice them. Okay, so moving on, we're going to take a look at another one by the same person, Proud Imagination 94. This one seems to be a bit of a painterly style tree here, a bit of a dark environment going on.
It's the BFG. I love it. That's very cool. I really like this piece. I don't have anything to say other than I like it.
Yes, it is really, really nice. I like the colors a lot. I don't know if that little dithering happening is, I think it's under the painterly effect, or else maybe the rendering effect, I don't know. Like when the gradient flowing from, orange to like in the background. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that should be the effect, I would say. I was just thinking.
Right.
Maybe it's the rendering artifact or something.
I like the texture quite a bit. I think the texture is really well executed all throughout.
Yes.
I do like it, but I kind of get the feeling that in some ways it does feel like it's just a filter slapped onto something. Maybe because it is so, I guess, low frequency and so consistent across the screen. Maybe if there was some kind of a little bit of larger imperfection, or I don't know. It just feels like maybe we lose some of the detail for the tree a bit. But I do actually like the style because I typically do like painterly style things. I also like how it's a very limited color palette. Like for all the bright areas as well, there's basically only 2 colors going on, like this kind of purpley and this yellowy. So I like how it's limited in that regard, and it does have quite a strong silhouette going on. So I think that's quite nice. And even in the water as well, how it all blurs together. I'm very interested in knowing actually what this would look like without this painterly filter on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, like in the water, I see the banding effect going on. Maybe, I don't know if it's the style or it's the rendering art. But yeah, that's something which we should consider. But
Okay, so we're going to move on to now this one by Slow TH or Vishnu. And I don't know exactly what it says behind. Banned something but maybe I should check this. But I really like this piece because it's got a strong expression, I should say. Very colorful, very pop. I'm also seeing lots of kind of finer, quite fun details in it, especially like, you know, the little skull on the guitar and stuff like that.
I really, really like this piece because the guitar is looking like an axe, which is what they're trying to go for. I mean, if you look at it,
Yeah,
it's like an axe. I really like that style. And color palette is really, really nice. The smoke adds a lot in the background. But yeah, the shadows, that's something which I'm concerning about. I can't see the person's shadow. It would add something, but yeah, maybe the lighting, but there should be some shadowing, right? No matter how the light setup is.
I guess maybe it feels a bit overlit in a way, I suppose.
Yeah, overlit. Normally in this sort of scenes, I would say rim lighting would actually separate from the background. Like it just looks like the Fresnel is acting here. I mean, in the shader.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would really like a different color of because you know they're going for orange rim lighting. I would say something different would actually make it more pop out. I would say.
Maybe if you took the sign in the back and had some of those lights reflecting on it would help break that up a bit. But I really like this character. I like the emotion that's carried through with it. I kind of want to see an animation of it or spin around in this blend file just to see this character in all its glory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see the pumpkin, the head. It'd be cool to see more thickness on that because when you carve into a pumpkin, it's about a good inch thick before you get to the pulp inside. So seeing some of that would be pretty cool. You could just add a solidify modifier on that and take care of that. I think the smoke in the background is what's really detracting me. Like I love the look of the 1980s style of this. Like as somebody who I was a child in the 80s, it was pretty crazy time. But the I like that look. What stands out to me right away though is just that I think some of that light from the neon sign in the back would carry into the smoke itself, and so would some of the orange on the floor. So I think lighting up the smoke in the background, that fog, would help quite a bit because you're doing it like up in the top with the purple with those lights that are going into the purple atmosphere up there, like that's happening. So carrying that through down on the bottom too would help kind of gel the whole thing together. So I'd definitely put more orange on the bottom and more blues and pinks on the top of that smoke for the fog. I'd probably have the fog maybe carry through to some of the foreground as well. That would be kind of cool too.
I completely agree with that. I feel like this would be so enhanced with even just a tiny bit of volume, just world or scene volume, because maybe this takes place in an interior. It's kind of hard to tell with this lighting, really, because it could just as well be outside as inside, and we don't really have the info. But if it was interior, I suppose that just a tiny bit of volume would carry all that through. I don't know. I don't know what render engine this is. I can't really tell without looking at the shadows. Maybe that's Eevee, not too sure. But about the rim lighting, it does feel like they've tried to get the rim lighting around every direction, which I guess is a little bit over the top. So yeah, I think maybe as we were just all trying to say lighting work would improve this.
Yeah, there's some gobo, some stage lighting. When you're on stage, there's tons of lights on you. It's pretty crazy. Even in the smaller clubs, they have lighting rigs, so you would get tons of different spill lights and all sorts of stuff going on. So I would push the lighting here.
Yeah, I mean, one additional thing that I would say is in the in the bottom corners, I can't see anything more. Maybe the lights the stage lights can be placed over there and pointing towards the character with some volume would be really nice.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think this can definitely be worked into a really awesome piece.
Yeah, I learned a bit more about the material, because it does kind of just look like a pattern has been applied, maybe texture based. I can't really tell. I think it might be texture based, and then just applied over, and the coordinates are generated in some way, I suppose, because obviously it's like different directions and stretching across the surface, and it's a little bit high frequency. So maybe replacing this with something else, but I'm not too sure what that would be. But
Maybe
yeah,
like Broken Pumpkin with lighting coming out of it or something would be pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Let's move on.
It reminds me of those like memory foam squishy things you can buy now. They're really cool.
So like a stress toy.
A stress toy, or kind of like Mad Balls from the 1980s. Those things are really cool.
Oh my god.
Should look those up. Those are fun.
Yeah, one thing I would like. This is really good because it's creeping me out. It's just because sometimes these sorts of toys give me creeps. It's not the design or anything, it's just the toy. But
Yeah.
I really like this one. Maybe I would prefer more glossy eyes because I see there's more glossy eyes.
Or maybe even less glossy because it's all like foam.
But yeah,
Spread it out more. Maybe. I don't know.
I do have a bit of a question here, because this hair coming up looks like it's fading off into the distance, which is why there's that fade there. So you imagine that it's going backwards, but when you look at the shadow, it doesn't really look like this curve is going back much. I mean, obviously we need a bit more of the shadow going there, but it just feels like, okay, maybe that's a little bit of an illusion going on here. And also a bit more geometry would be nice. For the skin texture, I was gonna say there's no variety in like the shades, but there is if we kind of like check the cheeks a bit.
Got freckles.
But there's not much. I feel like there could be more added, especially around the eyes, eyebrows, and maybe even around the kind of hair bit here. Also, the eyes, they feel a bit like dog eyes. And do you know what I mean by this? Because there are certain like breeds of dogs that have like really dark eyes, and if you look in the right lighting, then you can see just a bit of a pupil. But I think maybe something a bit more human might even be, well, it might be creepy, but it could also be kind of cute as well. So it might just be worth experimenting with that.
Yeah. And also the camera angle is like from top to down, right? I mean, maybe I'll get it down and give it some rim lighting for this one.
Yeah.
Always with the rim lighting. That's Ben's advice.
Yes, rim lighting. That's it.
Never go.
I mean, I learned from him. I learned from Ben, so yeah.
Yeah. So we got this next one from Light. We've got a nice little fishy here, and it's a blue environment, which I'm assuming is underwater or in an aquarium. Doesn't matter. So yes, I'm noticing there's a very painterly effect going on here. We've got a nice little. How would you pronounce? Bokeh?
Bokeh.
Yeah, I think that's quite controversial because I always used to say bokeh, and then I heard lots of people pronouncing it a different way, and I'm like, the YouTuber nightmare.
Bokeh.
Oh god, I know. I'm like, no, I've always called it bokeh. It's just like people who are like, how could you say dot release? I'm like, because it's not a point, it's a dot. We say .0, .5, .7, whatever.
Oh, I got the one I got, and yes, I'll probably leave this in the video. It's I say Euler, and everyone's like, it's Euler. Like I've been saying Euler for years. I'm not going to stop saying that.
Yeah, people know what you're
Yeah,
saying. It is
yeah.
Euler, but whatever. Like I'm not. Who
Boolean.
cares?
It's
Like you know what it
Euler.
is. Like I'm never
It's
gonna call you
Euler.
out.
Boolean.
I would never call you out for that. And be like it's Euler. Like whatever.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Light's probably watching this, going, "Come on, guys."
I know. Yeah.
Right.
So angry beta fish, beta fish, beta. It's an angry beta fish.
Right.
It's
It can
it,
also
it,
be a
it,
sky and a sci-fi fish. So
it
no.
has seen its enemy on the other side of the glass. Another beta fish. They do. They flare up when they see each other. That's pretty much what this thing is. So that it's cool though. I like it. It's got like a painterly effect. I like the translucency and kind of like the scattering in the fins. It's very stylized. So I don't have much to really say about it other than the compression banding, which you can't get away from. It's really difficult, but I really like it.
Yeah, I quite like the strokes going down the fins here. But there is one thing. Everything feels like it's, got very definite shapes, like it's vectorized around here. But then this eye kind of looks like like a pixel texture that's kind of just been put on with a bit of transparency, like a brush has just been clicked onto it. That's the only bit that feels a bit off, but I imagine it's probably quite difficult to do stylized eyes for fish.
But I really like the colors. It's blues and purples.
Yes.
Yes,
Nice.
there you go. That's when you actually strike Curtis, right?
You get extra points.
Yes, you got extra points for using. And yeah, the one other thing is like in the corners, it looks so rigid, like as if there is no enough geometry near the fence.
Yeah.
Because that's maybe it's the stylization, but then I see in the front, like it needs more shape. I would say like a nice flow. That's it. And I think it's hand painted as well, so I really like it a lot.
Oh, wow. I like this piece a lot and agree with all that's been said. I'd love to see more of the light coming through wherever the fish appears to be more translucent than in other places. And it seems like some of that is going on at the top and then at the middle fin or whatever you might call them. And so I'd just love to see more of that light present hitting other parts of the fish. And I know it's tricky because obviously it's underwater. Or, well, maybe not obviously. Maybe it's flying space fish. But I think accentuating that light will help.
So that's our take on this lovely fish piece. Thank you, Light. So we're going to move on now to Tovias M. A bit of an architectural piece here. Let me just do a scan from bottom to top.
A lot of detail in there.
Yes. One thing I would say here is I'm not sure if they use filmic color space because you can see a lot of blown out whites.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. That is something which, and there is also like a lot of free space in the other side, in this other half, right? There's more detail on only one side. It would be nice if you had more something this side, other side. Yeah. That's my take on it. Yeah.
A sink.
Yeah, it's would be nice.
There's something about it, that feels quite interesting. It's like the light isn't really consistent. Like parts of this feel like it's a photograph, especially this bit here. You see with the, the 1024 AM and these knobs that it feels like a photograph. We can see kind of pixel information almost. And then when we get over here, everything feels a lot more rigid. Like the textures are like so flat, probably because of all the blown out whites. It's probably an image of a background here. It feels like parts of it feel like a real life photograph, and parts of it feel like a render, and it's kind of confusing my mind a bit in a way. But yeah, in terms of composition, I agree that it's a bit of an off balance with the detail. Do we actually need to see this lighting here? Maybe if we rotate the camera more to the right, kind of come across this countertop here and see more of the detailed parts of the kitchen instead.
Yeah, my only thing is the blown out. You just watch the lighting where it clips. You render at higher bit depth, you get away from that. And filmic helps too, the OCIO color space. But yeah, I like the design of this kitchen. Like I'd kind of like want that kitchen.
Yeah.
Like it'd be nice. Like it's always hard to when you're photographing interiors. It's always hard to meter for inside versus outside, especially if you're shooting during daytime and you can't scrim the windows or anything. It's kind of hard to meter against that. So it's either like blown out, one is blown out, and the other's not. Unless you take a lot of time to set the shot up. But yeah, it's or you could bracket for exposures too. But yeah, that's cool. I like the anisotropic metal in the background. I like the pots and I like that. That's really cool. That detail is cool. I like the there's some dirt on the backsplash, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I like the cabinet, the choice in cabinets, the black cabinet color, kind of matte black paint look, kind of nailed, and the glow around the lights coming off the fan, like that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like this.
There's a lot that I like about this. There's like stuff that I we're talking that we could pick apart, especially the blown out stuff, but there's also a lot that I like.
Yeah, taking a look at the materials, it's quite difficult to get this looking right, I think, and they've got it going quite well here.
That does look like paint.
Yeah, especially with these edges. That's quite realistic. Just a little bit of inconsistent glossy.
Yep. That helps so much.
It's almost too realistic. Getting a little bit suspicious. If this is a render, that's really good material there.
Yeah.
Also up here, quite like this going along the skirt.
Yeah, that crown molding is nice.
Yeah. Even down to the floor, maybe. Quite nice details. Makes me wonder whether all of this was modeled or, some of these are kind of asset props brought in.
I wonder. Oh.
But it would be nice to know. But yeah, I guess the main takeaway here from, I guess, what we've heard so far is that the lighting, again, just seems a bit odd, just with the blown out elements of it. But yeah, color space changes and maybe just a bit of a reevaluation of where the light's coming from.
And my question is, why would you have a granite island and then not carry that granite over to the other surfaces?
Yeah, it looks like kind of cheaper wood going on here,
Yeah. I mean, that's not part of the image or anything. That's like an architectural choice.
Yeah.
Maybe they're remodeling.
Yeah, I know. Living on the island.
They spent all their budget on the island.
Yeah, they spent it all. They ran out over by the other one by the window.
Oh,
it's gone.
Oh wow. So moving on, we have one by Syber. So Sharon, you know Syber, don't you?
Yes, I do know Syber.
What's their other username?
Blender Made Easy.
Blender Made Easy.
The YouTube channel, yeah.
Yeah.
The person behind Blender Made Easy.
Nice.
The simulations guy.
Yeah, so this is from Blender Made Easy. So there's a lot of nice stuff going on here. So we've got a chessboard here. We've got pills. It's a bit ominous. We've got some drinks going on. There's a lot of detail in this one, just straight off the bat. Lots of material variety as well, especially with the glass and the drink, and got lots of fine details with that. So yeah, let's take a moment to look at this one.
My question is the sizing. I like the shallow depth of field is cool. The rook in the foreground, nicely blown out. I like not blown out lighting wise. It's just kind of depth of field, shadow blurred. My question is, I'd be pissed if my only bottle of whiskey was that small. So like either it's from a mini bar, and I can't tell if the sizing is the same as the beer bottle that's in the back. Or if it's just the scale is kind of messing with me.
Yeah, and another thing, this kind of reflection in here doesn't match the environment. I don't feel like there's a lot of wire going. Obviously, I can't see what's behind the camera, but it seems like a very dark scene. And what's all this being reflected back in here? Like
that I don't know. That's like an index of refraction issue. Either he's picking up white from the tiles, but then you'd see black showing through, or you need more depth in the glossy and the ray tracing. I'm not sure.
But looking at this, I'm thinking, damn, Blender Foundation needs to up their merchandise game.
I know.
Blend whiskey.
I mean,
I wouldn't.
they might make a profit. They should look into it.
They should. They're in Amsterdam. Anything goes.
Yeah. All right. But I agree about the scaling. Does feel a bit weird.
Yeah. For me, it's really good seeing the composition wise and everything.
Mhm.
And I really like the the breaks and the glossiness of the chessboard.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the imperfections.
Yeah. Yes, the imperfections are really, really
They
nice.
do look good.
It does have a little bit of bump, which actually makes it look more realistic.
Yep.
Yes, and the pills, the texture, yes, I would say it's 10 out of 10. I'm just looking at the wood. I mean, because it kind of looks procedural. I would say, but maybe not.
We got
Yeah,
like
the mapping could be
a few different
the
kinds
swirl, yeah.
right here.
Yeah, that is something which I would say. And the other one, I mean, I'm talking the wood in the chess pieces. I mean, I don't think wood would go that way like in chess pieces, but yeah, maybe not. But yeah, the mapping could be changed, I would say. UV coordinates or something.
I'd have to look
But
at
I really
those.
like the whole piece. It's really, really nice.
I like the felt on the bottom of that one piece that's knocked over the king.
Yeah.
Yes.
The felt there is nice. I like that. You
Yeah.
can like it's almost imperceptible, but you can tell it's felt, and I like that.
Yeah, not
It's
many
a
people would
pretty
think
strong
of that.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't. And it's a pretty strong piece. I generally like this.
Yeah, this is good. Taking a look at the reflections, I can see like a large light source. Okay, and
Yeah.
is that a slightly lighter one? This might be like a kind of default studio type HDRI. I'm not too sure from having a look at it, where there's like a strong light and then a weaker one, maybe a 3-point setup or something. So if there is a strong one coming from kind of behind and to the right of the camera here, that might be what's causing this. But
Yeah, I think it would be.
Not too sure. But yeah, I think otherwise we quite like this one.
How would you address the lighting issue then? Would you hide the source?
I think I might go for a different HDRI if it is one that's a bit less consistent, should we say? Because assuming this is an interior scene, there would be lighting kind of bouncing off all the walls, I suppose, and maybe coming from directly above instead. So we probably wouldn't have like an unfortunate angle for the glass. But oh yeah, we can kind of see it here as well on this one. So yeah, one that's a bit more inconsistent interior, so it's not just coming from one direct source, kind of offset to the camera. Also, you'd probably be able to feed in more color that way. And considering that we're not seeing, I mean, look, the background's entirely black. If this is an interior, you could blur out like an interior HDRI, so we'd get more color coming through, even on the back. That would give you a bit more, say, rim for these pieces. I think that would make it feel a bit more realistic. I don't think there's anything wrong with the materials, but I feel like a change in lighting like that would add quite a lot, actually. So, moving on. We've got this next piece by Ground Zero. This is quite different from the other things we've seen before. Seems a lot more 2D. So, immediately I will say, this circular thing, I quite like patterns like this. It reminds me of Pendulums in Silico. Anyone remember that album artwork? Is this going to date me a bit? They've got like all these kind of ring things going on, and I've always liked that pattern. And it also reminds me of, the film Contact,
Yes.
with Jodie Foster, and they have that that kind of wormhole entry ring structure. Patterns like this always remind me of that.
I like the color scheme. It's limited, but seems intentional. And I can imagine this being either an album cover or the sort of thing that you would see on some video game poster in game.
Yes. I really like the painterly background that it has, and the pink outline of the trees and the clouds. The color selection, the color palette is really nice. Yes, the ring is really good. I mean, the overall, yes, this is an amazing piece.
It does feel like something that I would hang up, like maybe even just without these island pieces, because I really love abstract art pieces like this, where it's just like very simple colors, a little bit of randomness going on with some order ingrained in it.
Let's say it is pink, Curtis. You like pink?
Well,
fine.
It's also the texture, because I love like wall art pieces that have texture to them, right? And I feel like, I mean, this just looks like a pixel texture. I mean, we can literally see the pixels here. So maybe a high quality would be nicer. The pixel resolution of this is not consistent with the pixel resolution of this up here. So we can tell that it's kind of imposed afterwards. But anyway, this seems to be the kind of surface that would be nice in almost three-dimensionally, something that you could feel on the wall.
Like the canvas texture.
Yes, like that.
I really love that one, yeah. That can be improved in this one. Because that can, I mean, if it's painterly effect, like the canvas should carry on top of the clouds and also the pine trees as well. Like the little bump, that would add a lot to this one.
It really does feel like an album piece, because the kind of palm trees gives it like a synth wavy vibe, but like the rest of it, like the order, it gives it a very like electronic kind of dark vibe going on. So
it's definitely very new wave, or what we would call synth wave now.
Yeah.
And I also, it also hits me this, like it's reminding me of that show Lost.
Yes.
And it looks like kind of like the Dharma Initiative, like a play on the logo for the Dharma Initiative, and then the palm trees and the clouds and stuff. I would almost think this would be cooler even if you got rid of the palm trees and the clouds and just had that, like you were saying, had that logo, that circular concentric circle, broken circle thingy, a bit larger in the center, and just kind of have it, as this like solid piece. It would be kind of monolithic and almost dystopian.
Yeah,
which is kind of where New Wave was at the time, because New Wave was during the Cold War. We could be nuked any second. Like it was this whole underlying feeling of mutually assured destruction, and a lot of that music and that style kind of came out of that. Radio Free Europe, stuff like that. It was just, man, like you could play on this so well. I like it. I think it's strong.
Yeah, that's quite a nice narrative, actually. Nicely said. Yeah, so I think that's us done with that one. Moving on, we have Ivan here, and I mean, I'll have you know, a bit of a Nebula connoisseur when it comes to Blender work. Immediately, because I do love nebulas, so of course I like this quite a bit, but this one does feel a little bit too consistent, I think, with the lighting. When looking at nebulas, I think it's always nice to have a more defined structure and then like lighting pouring onto the structure. This one kind of feels like we're inside of something that's lit through the shader rather than from a source. And maybe because these lines here are so consistent, it kind of feels like some of the noise texture values are just being cranked up really high. But what I do like is that we have this extra color here, like with the extra red. I feel like it would be a bit more definitive, again, if the nebula wasn't taking over the entire screen. Maybe if like this blue could be cut off to a certain degree and maybe the red accentuated more, maybe brighter. So we would have some of the darker background and this would really cut through it, I think.
One thing I would say is the noise is sometimes very high detailed, right? In the blues. And then, it is just too dark on the... Yeah, maybe more lights would really add a lot to this one.
I think if it's trying to be a nebula, or if it is a nebula, definitely more depth. It needs more depth. I think because you would see stars there. Some would be really bright. Some would be really kind of more dim, and then you would just get a lot more depth. But I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a nebula or what. So I'll just kind of leave it at that as the artist's discretion. I mean, it's an interesting piece. I could kind of stare at it for a while and go like, "What's going on?" My eyes kind of going everywhere. So there is interest in there.
Yeah, like nebulas are the birthplaces of stars, right? So where you have the most amount of material, that's where you have the stars, and then it also lights it up. So it'd be nice to have something like that, because even though it's like very ethereal, it still makes it feel kind of physical, So like,
very true.
Lighting for nebulas is such an important part of making them feel realistic. But also the color feels a little bit strange just around these edge bits here. You see where it suddenly goes really dark blue?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say next.
Okay. Well, I'll let you take that one. Sharon, what do you think about these areas?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, yeah, the color difference is really putting me off. That's it.
Yeah, I'd like to see the node setup. I kind of want to know if this is a world shader or like a contained inside of a box.
Yeah.
Because I get the feeling from the continuous nature of this pattern that it might be a world shader, but I can't be sure. But then again, maybe not, because maybe there's a clip off distance, but because we can see the back here, maybe it's a box one. Anyway, so yeah, there's just a few notes about that. Again, lighting. We've got a lot of lighting tips in this video. But,
lighting is everything. Rim lighting.
Well, maybe if I can try and give a bit more specific advice. Whatever noise texture we have going here for getting this wavy volume, decrease the scale by a lot. So instead of having like all these identifiable wavy patterns, have it so maybe there's just like 1 or 2 waves coming through the screen.
Can you zoom in, Curtis, to the knot? Yeah, this is a procedural texture for sure.
Yeah.
It's not pixelated anywhere. So
yeah. All right. So if we're done there, I think we're going to move on to our last couple. I don't want to offend anyone by butchering the name, but we've got it here. Anyone is free to have a go if they like, but this is the person who's made this artwork. So they actually had a few different pieces, but I've picked out the ones that I feel like are most representative of the scene. So in this left one, we have more of the environment, and in this right one, we have the closer up, one that's a bit more composed, should we say.
I love the lamp.
I love lamp.
yes,
I love lamp.
I love
I
lamp.
love table.
Oh, that's such a good.
I love chair.
I love that.
lamp. No,
Wow.
it's great. I love it. I love the lamp.
Yeah, the lamp is good.
My eye is drawn to that thing, and it's just it's telling a story. It's to me, it's just it's giving me this it's giving me the mise en scène. If I pronounce that right, it's telling me like the time of day. You know, it's either super early morning. To me, it's telling me that it's getting late in the day. And he's got the lamp on, and he's, you know, the sun is starting to set, and he's, you know, the story is he's trying to catch his last fish. I see he hasn't caught any because I don't see any in his boat. I mean, maybe he's sitting on them. I don't know, but but like it's telling me he's like, you know, he's just very patient, and you know, the day is ending, and he's just waiting for his last, you know, maybe he's going to get that catch and feed his family, or maybe he's not, and they're going to go hungry. I don't know, but it's just an interesting piece. I mean, technically, I think, you know, the water could be worked a little more choppiness,
yes,
and stuff. But you know, I like where it's going. I really like the boat. I like the softness of the canopy. You know, of course, you could sink the boat a little bit more into the water. Maybe put a water line. You know, make it dark where the water has wet the bottom of the boat. A little more wear and tear. Those boats would probably be like
very old, yeah,
you know, half destroyed, especially because of the typhoons and the types of weather system that area of the world would get would quickly start wearing on all that stuff. But yeah, I like this piece. There's something, the lighting is very subtle and nice. I really like the lighting, especially around him. That lamp is just really doing it for me.
Yeah,
I really like it.
One thing for me is like the unevenness of the stick that he's holding. I mean, yeah, it's very thick in middle. Like, I don't think that is natural. Like, maybe it is, I don't know. And the other one which I had was I would really like to see how it looks if there are like ripples around the thread when it touches the water. I mean, that's why it would be really nice. It's a nice additional touch. Obviously, it looks very wooden and woven, so the wood texture can be improved a lot, I would say, even for this the light that he has over there. And the stick looks like it's clipping into the boat. Yeah, that could, I don't know, but I think, yeah, it is kind of clipping into the boat.
Yeah, it does feel like it's like not really connected with anything. I'd say this piece, as nice as it is, it maybe feels a little bit unfinished. And like one of the main reasons I'd say that is because like in some places we have nice texture details.
Yeah,
we've got a kind of woven thing there, and we've got, you know, the wood texture going along the boat, which is actually quite nice. But as Kev said, it would be nice to have like a water line.
Water line, yeah.
But then in other places we have completely untextured objects.
Yes.
And I feel like this pole is also untextured.
Yeah.
So maybe just by adding some stuff there would be nicer, and some extra details again, like, some fish or some other living accommodations or some other whatever. But yeah, the ripples would be nice. I imagine they'd be quite difficult to do, but it would add quite a bit as a smaller detail.
Yeah, it can be done using, like, you can just put a plane or something and just add a bump, which basically imitates the ripples.
I think they've done pretty well with the person, because it's very difficult to animate hands, and it looks like
Yes,
they've made
it looks like it's
they've locked
they
the
did
fingers pretty
sometime.
well.
Yeah, that's really nice. And I would really like to see this in a different environment, and not environment, like a different lighting setup. When they do that, they can actually concentrate on the board, where the ovens have more porous. So when the light passes through that, it kind of clips and falls on the boat as well, like
right.
inside. Yeah, that would really add a lot. And I
Yeah.
don't know why. Okay, maybe that's just the lighting. The yellow line right there.
Wait, what
I mean, like the rim lighting, just a small yellow line. Yeah,
right there.
it just felt like it's in object mode and it's selected. I don't know.
Oh, right, okay. It's probably coming from the sun just
Sun,
over there.
yeah.
I think maybe a little bit of inconsistency with the rest of the environment, because obviously it looks we've got a lot of detail back here. The water is quite realistic in regards to the amount of reflection it's giving, and then just having like the textureless elements makes it feel a little bit out of place. But I think it's a nice start. That could turn into a very nice piece, I think, very calming, especially with that lighting.
Yes.
I would definitely keep going with it. I would maybe make the mountains, especially by the sun, darker. Those would be darker, and the light on the highlight would be a bit stronger on the water. The sky's pretty nice. I think that would work.
One more thing I would say.
Yeah, that would be. That sun would be super bright though.
Yeah. One other thing is, like, the water on the mountains are very blue, and it's flowing into the pond or river.
Oh, see, I didn't even think about that as water.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was snow, but then no, it is water.
Okay,
for sure.
yeah, it does feel kind of like stuck to the contours.
Yes. So yeah, and the reflection is carried out all the way here. It is very blue, and if we we can completely make it a complete stylized one if you change the water into blue as well. But because you are going for realistic water in the foreground and having a different one in the background, kind of puts me off, I would say.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess our general sentiment for this one is it's like a good starting point. There's extra details that can be added, but the mood, the storytelling is nice. It's very calming, and
yes,
it'd be nice to see like extra versions of this. So yeah, I think that about covers what we've got to speak about for this episode of the Art Review. So hopefully anyone that took part in this learned something, and maybe that helped you to present you with some ideas for which you can use in your future work, or even to improve some of these pieces. So thanks for watching, and thanks to Charon, Kev, and Arturo, who had to jump out, for providing their opinions. So we'll see you next time.